Everyone has that moment in life when regret just hits you hard. You know, when you look in the mirror and think, bro, where did I mess up this badly? It's like when you see your old classmates posting pictures of their brand new house, their shiny new car, their happy family, while you're sitting there eating instant noodles for the third time that week. What's worse is when you realize that the people who truly mattered in your life ended up on completely different paths, or, in the harshest cases, they're not even around anymore to share their stories. And then you start asking yourself, what if I had done things differently? What if I hadn't been such a coward? Japanese culture has always carried this fixation with honor, courage, and protection. From the age of the samurai to modern anime, the message is always there. A true man protects the people he loves, even if it means giving up everything. But in real life, most of us fail miserably at that test. That's exactly the kind of pain Tokyo Revengers dives into. The anime takes a guy who embodies everything we're terrified of becoming and gives him the most impossible chance of all to go back and redo his choices. But here's the cruel twist. He has to face the very same fears that paralyzed him the first time. And trust me, even with all the hate this anime got for its later seasons, the story still has something meaningful to offer. So today on the channel, Tokyo Revengers, one of the most divisive anime of recent years.
Whoa, hold up. What do you mean the fight's over? Now it's over.
Here we meet Takamichi, a guy who's hit rock bottom. His life is so pathetic that apologizing has become a daily routine. One day, while lying on his couch eating chips, he sees on the news that his middle school ex-girlfriend has died in a gang conflict. And here's the kicker, she was the only girlfriend he's ever had. The news crushes him. At work, his boss complains. At home, his neighbor complains. On the street, some kids vandalize a car, and he gets blamed. Adulthood is basically apologizing for things he didn't even do. At the train station, lost in thought about how everything went wrong, someone shoves him onto the tracks. In the split second before he's turned into human paste, he remembers Hina. Suddenly, Takamichi wakes up in the past. He's sporting his cringy middle school look, and his old friends are with him. His phone confirms it. July 4th, 2005, exactly 12 years ago. His friends are hyped to pick a fight with some guys from another school, but Takamichi remembers this didn't end well, and just as he predicted, they walk right into a trap set by some upperclassmen from the Tokyo Manji Gang. Their leader, Kiyomizu, turns Takamichi and his friends into his personal punching bags and slaves. This was the very reason he fled town in the first place.
Damn, this sucks. My life's ending.
Remembering Hina, he goes to her house. The moment he sees her, he breaks down in tears, unable to explain anything. Later, he sees some guys harassing a little boy, and in a rare moment of courage, steps in and saves him. The boy introduces himself as Naoto, Hina's younger brother. Knowing that Naoto also dies in the future, Takamichi tells him everything. The time travel, the death of him and his sister, and begs him to protect Hina. They shake hands. Takamichi wakes up back in 2017.
I'll do it.
He's awake.
The one who saved him from the train was Naoto himself, now a police officer. Thanks to the warning from the past, Naoto survived, but he couldn't save Hina. Now he needs Takamichi's help to go back in time and save his sister. Naoto explains to Takamichi that his time-traveling ability is activated by a handshake between them and always sends him back to the same day 12 years in the past. After a 2-day crash course on the Tokyo Manji Gang, the plan is set. Takamichi must prevent the two top leaders, Manjiro Sano and Teita Kisaki, from ever meeting. If they never cross paths, the future Toman, which became a criminal organization, will never exist. It's like stopping Batman from meeting the Joker, but with Japanese delinquents. With the plan in mind, they shake hands and wham! Takamichi is back in the past, but the timing couldn't be worse. He wakes up in the middle of an underground fight club, taking a punch to the face and getting knocked out instantly. When he comes to, Kiyomizu's gang is furious because the fight was too short, and they lost money on the bets. To teach him a lesson, they beat him up again. In the middle of the beatdown, he makes the mistake of asking about Manjiro. Kiyomizu goes ballistic, grabs a baseball bat, and nearly beats Takamichi to a pulp. Terrified, Takamichi decides the mission is impossible and resolves to return to the present. On his way, he runs into Hina, who gets incredibly worried seeing him so battered. Her kindness moves him, and he realizes he can't just give up. The next day, things get worse. His friend Yamamoto, who's super frail, is up next in the fight club. Takamichi remembers that in the original timeline, Yamamoto nearly died in this fight. Seeing his friend's despair and with no one to turn to, Takamichi makes a crazy decision. He interrupts the fight and, in front of everyone, challenges the big boss Kiyomizu to a one-on-one.
Are you gonna fight me or not?
Takemichi knows he has no chance against Kiyomizu, but he also knows he can't stay a punching bag if he wants to save Hina. The fight begins, and he gets pummeled, but he refuses to give up. Seeing his friend being destroyed, Akun pulls out a knife, ready to end things the darkest way possible, but he notices the crowd, once cheering for violence, is now silent, impressed by Takemichi's courage. With his face a bloody mess, Takemichi screams that Kiyomizu will have to kill him to win.
And you're gonna have to kill me now.
Enraged, Kiyomizu grabs his bat, ready to end this farce. But then, the script flips. Two figures appear out of nowhere. Ken Ryuguchi, Toman's vice commander, and the big boss himself, Manjiro Sano, aka Mikey.
Ken Ryuguchi. Manjiro Sano?
Everyone bows, except for Takemichi, who can barely stand. Ken kicks Kiyomizu for not bowing properly. Mikey, on the other hand, approaches Takemichi and declares that from this day on, they are friends. Then, he turns to Kiyomizu and brutally beats him down for tarnishing Toman's name with a lame-ass fight club. The next day, Mikey and Ken show up at Takemichi's school, stepping over a pile of upperclassmen they just knocked out. They want to hang out with their new friend, but Hina, thinking they're bullying him, shows up and slaps Mikey across the face. Yes, she slapped the leader of the most feared gang in Tokyo. Takemichi, in turn, defends Hinata from Ken. Mikey, instead of getting angry, finds the whole thing hilarious and says he would never hit a girl. Later, on a bike ride, Mikey reveals why he took a liking to Takemichi. He reminds him of his older brother, a reckless guy who never gave up. Mikey dreams of creating a new golden era for delinquents and wants Takemichi to help him. Takemichi realizes Mikey isn't the villain he imagined, leaving him with a nagging question. What the hell happened to turn him into the monster of the future?
What could have changed Mikey so much?
On the train, Hina scolds some loud kids so an elderly woman can sit. Later, she invites Takemichi to her house to help with his studies. Takemichi is freaking out internally. It's the first time he's ever been in a girl's room. Hina thanks him for helping Naoto and tells him that her little brother, who used to dislike their police officer father, now wants to be just like him. At that moment, it clicks for Takemichi, and he understands why the future Naoto became a cop. Hina notices Takemichi seems more mature and says she wants to get to know this side of him better. Suddenly, fireworks start and they go up to the roof to watch. Takemichi thinks about how he doesn't want to go back to a future where Hina doesn't exist. He reaches for her hand, but in the blink of an eye, he's back in the present, holding Naoto's hand.
Hina.
Back in 2017, Takemichi wakes up crying. Naoto realizes the handshake theory is correct but gets pissed when he learns it was an accident. They discover a new rule. Takemichi goes back exactly 12 years, and the time he spends there is the same amount of time that passes in the present. When Takemichi tells him he met Mikey, Naoto wonders why he didn't just kill him then and there. They find out that Atsushi Sendo, Akun, has become a big shot in Toman, which is bizarre, because in the original timeline he was a nobody. They decide to call Akun to try and get to Mikey. They meet at a hostess club that Akun manages. The guy is completely different, his pompadour gone. On the roof, Akun drops a bombshell. He was the one who pushed Takemichi onto the tracks. He reveals he's now a soldier for Kisaki, and that everyone in Toman obeys him, as Mikey changed completely after Ken died. Desperate, he begs Takemichi to go back in time and save everyone. Immediately after, he jumps off the building.
No, don't do it, Akun!
A devastated Takemichi understands his new mission: stop Kisaki from turning Toman evil. In 2017, Takemichi finds out he was fired after being missing for 2 weeks. Before sending him back to the past, Naoto warns him not to tell Hina anything, otherwise she'll just think he's crazy. The new mission is clear. On August 3rd, 2005, Draken dies after being stabbed during an internal clash within Toman. The goal: prevent Draken's death and in turn, save both Hina and Atsushi. With the plan set, the two shake hands. Takemichi wakes up in 2005 inside a karaoke booth with a half-dressed girl on top of him. Terrified, he bolts out, only to run into Hina, who overheard him muttering about keeping things from her. She says he's been acting strange and cold lately, but now he seems like the mature Takemichi she fell for. Out of the blue, Draken calls, summoning him to a Toman meeting at Musashi Shrine. Hina insists on tagging along. When they arrive, the place is swarming with bikers. Takashi Mitsuya, captain of the 2nd Division, recognizes Takemichi and leads him to Mikey. Draken scolds Takemichi for bringing his girlfriend and asks Emma, the girl from the karaoke room, to keep an eye on her. Emma calls Takemichi a coward, which confuses Hina. When Emma spills that he ran off and left her half naked, Hina loses it and beats him up.
I'm so sorry, Hina.
Later, Emma admits she only did it to make Draken jealous, but he only ever cares about Mikey. The Toman meeting begins. The topic: their feud with Mobius. Pachin is furious because Mobius leader Osanai beat up his best friend and assaulted his girlfriend right in front of him. Pa wants revenge. He wants blood. Mikey asks if anyone's scared, but the whole gang is ready to fight. Then he announces, on August 3rd during the Musashi festival, Toman will crush Mobius. Takemichi is shaken. It's the very day Draken dies. The next day, Takemichi follows Draken and Mikey. He watches Draken comb Mikey down with a toy flag at a diner, then carry him home on his back after he falls asleep. Later at the hospital, they visit Pa's friend's girlfriend. Her father bursts in, furious, blaming them. Mikey gets defensive, but Draken bows Mikey's head and takes full responsibility. Witnessing this, Takemichi is convinced. There's no way these two would ever fight. It has to be a setup.
There's just no way that these two could ever fight each other.
Here we learn Draken's backstory. Born in the slums of Shibuya to a prostitute mother who abandoned him, he grew up intimidating others thanks to his height. Still in middle school, he got his iconic dragon tattoo, but when he was beaten up by an older gang, they sent him to fetch a guy named Mikey. Expecting some hulking brute, Draken instead finds a short kid. Even so, he brings Mikey to the gang. Without hesitation, Mikey launches in with a flying kick, knocking the leader out cold and shocking everyone else. Impressed, Mikey takes Draken as his friend. That was the birth of Toman's legendary duo. Back in the present, Takamichi tells Naoto it's impossible Mikey and Draken ever fought. They need more intel. Their lead, Osanai, Mobius' ex-leader. They track him down at a construction site, being chewed out by his boss. The former gang boss is now just another grunt. Nervous and broken, Osanai insists he never ordered Draken's death. Instead, he says someone else orchestrated the conflict to spark infighting in Toman. He claims his life would never have been ruined if Draken hadn't died. Now the suspicion is a certainty. Someone used Mobius to tear Toman apart from the inside. Takamichi returns to the past to warn Mikey. He wakes up on a motorcycle with Akun, alive and well. Overjoyed, Takamichi encourages him to pursue his dream of becoming a hairstylist. Then he rushes to find Mikey, who's with Draken, Pachin, and Peiyan. Desperate, Takamichi begs them to cancel the fight, insisting it's a trap, though he can't explain how he knows. Pa loses his temper and beats him down. Mikey declares his mind's made up. They're fighting. When Draken suggests investigating Mobius first, Mikey snaps back, accusing him of turning against Toman. Right then, Osanai shows up with the entire Mobius crew surrounding the outnumbered Toman. The trap is sprung.
This is war.
Takamichi stares at Osanai, unable to believe this is the same man he saw in the future. Fearing underestimated, Osanai clocks him with a punch. Pachin jumps in to defend his friend, but Mikey orders everyone to stand back. This is Pa's fight, but it's no fight, it's a slaughter. Osanai demolishes Pa without breaking a sweat. Before Pa hits the ground, Mikey catches him. Pa apologizes, feeling worthless, but Mikey reassures him he didn't lose.
I'm sorry.
It's okay, you didn't lose.
As Mobius laughs, Mikey steps forward and takes Osanai down with a single kick, straight out of a martial arts movie. Then he challenges the entire Mobius gang. If anyone thinks Pa lost, step up and he'll drop them one by one. Mikey makes it clear, as long as he leads Toman, no one in Toman will ever lose. Beaten and desperate, Osanai grabs a broken bottle and charges at Mikey and Draken, but Draken easily shuts him down. He spits that Osanai stopped being a real delinquent the moment he assaulted a woman and attacked someone's parents. Seeing the overwhelming strength of the two, Mobius trembles. Draken declares that from now on, Mobius belongs to Toman. As police sirens wail, everyone scatters. Takamichi remembers this was the trigger, but is shocked that things ended so peacefully. Then the script flips. Pachin stabs Osanai in the back, saying he couldn't just let it slide.
I'm not about to let you get off that easy.
With everyone stunned, Pa bids them farewell and says he'll turn himself in. Takamichi wakes up in the hospital with Emma by his side. When he asks about Mikey and Draken, Emma in tears reveals the two had a brutal fight over Pachin. Toman split into factions, Mikey's side and Draken's side. While she cries in Takamichi's arms, Hina walks in and, of course, gets the wrong idea. Days later, Draken shows up at Takamichi's place. But when Takamichi brings up Mikey, Draken gets pissed, slams the table, and ruins his puzzle. He storms out, declaring Toman is finished. Outside, he runs into Mikey. The two start bickering, smashing Takamichi's most prized possessions: his bike, his bat, his treasures. Watching his little world collapse, Takamichi finally snaps and screams at them to stop.
Time to cut the shit.
The two realize they went too far. Takamichi tries to punch Mikey but misses and lands in a pile of trash. Seeing his friend covered in garbage, Draken apologizes. Takamichi explains that their fighting will split Toman apart and that they don't care about anyone around them. Mikey points out there's poop on Takamichi's head, and he and Draken run off because the smell is unbearable. A while later, Takamichi, his hair now clean, finds the two. They've made up and apologized to him. Mikey doesn't even remember why they were fighting, but Takamichi deduces it was about Pachin. Mikey wanted to help him, while Draken wanted to honor their friend's decision to turn himself in. With the dynamic duo back together, Takamichi thinks he's changed history and that Draken won't die anymore. Hina and Emma show up, and Hina invites Takamichi to the festival on August 3rd. He, of course, accepts immediately. The day of the festival arrives. Hina is still a little mad about the misunderstanding with Emma and challenges Takamichi. She'll only forgive him if he wins her a prize at the shooting game. He gives it his all, hits the target, but can't knock it down. The night seems lost until it starts to rain and the two take shelter under a tree. Hina forgives him because she saw how hard he tried. The mood is perfect for a kiss, but Takamichi's phone rings. It's Kazushi with terrible news. He overheard that some members of Mikey's faction are still furious and are going after Draken. The conflict isn't over. Takamichi runs off to find Draken. On the way, he sees Kiyomizu getting a knife from a Mobius member, saying he's going to kill Draken.
I'm gonna find Draken, and then I'm gonna kill him.
Kiyomizu's gang catches Takamichi and beats him up, then ties him up with duct tape. Moments later, Hinata finds him. Takamichi breaks down, crying about how useless he feels. That's when Hinata kisses him. She tells him it was her first kiss, and that she gave it to him because he's special, the coolest guy of all, because he cries and gets frustrated for other people.
That was my first kiss. I gave it to you because you're that special.
His confidence restored, he breaks free and decides he's going to stop Kiyomizu. On his way, he runs into Mitsuya and tells him about the attack, but Mitsuya already knew. He just didn't realize Kiyomizu was behind it. He reveals that Pei-yan is the one who's rebelling, thinking that Toman abandoned Pachin. Elsewhere, Pei-yan finally finds Draken and Emma. While looking for Draken, Mitsuya explains that Pei-yan teamed up with Mobius members to get Draken, believing Toman had abandoned Pachin. When Draken sees Pei-yan, he understands the situation and prepares to fight, but suddenly, a Mobius member attacks him from behind with a bat. Takamichi remembers that the incident was supposed to happen in a parking lot and rushes there. They find Draken fighting alone against several Mobius members. Exhausted, he sits down and tells Mitsuya to take over. Just then, the roar of Mikey's motorcycle echoes through the area. Mikey realizes he was lured away on purpose, just so Pei-yan could attack Draken. That's when Shuji Hanma, the acting leader of Mobius, appears. He boasts about tricking Mikey and, to everyone's surprise, manages to block the famous kick of the invincible Mikey. Hanma reveals his plan to cause an internal war in Toman. He then summons 100 Mobius members for the fight. Takamichi realizes that in trying to change the future, he has created an even bigger conflict. Just as the 4 Toman members are about to be swallowed by the crowd, the rest of the gang arrives on their bikes, ready for war. The brawl begins, and Takamichi desperately searches for Draken to protect him from Kiyomizu. In the midst of the chaos, Mikey confronts Pei-yan, who starts punching him relentlessly. Mikey doesn't fight back. He says that Takamichi taught him how sad he would be if Toman split up and that he doesn't want to fight his own family. He tells Pei-yan to keep hitting him until he's satisfied, but to come back to them afterward. Meanwhile, Takamichi finally spots Kiyomizu. He's just standing there, holding a bloody blade and repeating, "I did it." Takamichi turns around and the sight is devastating. Draken is on the ground, bleeding from a stab wound to his abdomen. He runs to warn Manjiro, but Shuji Hanma appears and acts like a club bouncer, blocking Mikey and calling him out for a fight. With no time to waste, Manjiro yells at Takamichi to take care of Ken. Takamichi then hoists Ken onto his back and tries to run to the hospital. On the way, Hinata and Emma show up and tell him they've already called an ambulance. But the peace is short-lived. Kiyomizu and his gang appear to crash the party. Ken, despite being on the verge of death, tells Takamichi to grab the girls and get out of here. But Takamichi is tired of running away. He already lost everything once by being a coward, and now he decides he's not giving up this time.
I'm not running away this time. This time, I'm finally going to take my revenge.
He faces off against Kiyomasa and says their one-on-one fight isn't over yet because he hasn't lost. Kiyomasa thinks he's lost his mind, but gets annoyed when Ken, Hina, and Emma start betting on Takamichi to win. Our hero throws a punch, but Kiyomasa plays dirty and stabs him in the arm, saying this isn't a fight, it's an execution. Even while taking a beating, Takamichi remembers his dream of becoming Japan's top delinquent and realizes it was his own fault that everything went wrong. With a second wind, he lunges forward, bites Kiyomasa, and takes him down with a rear naked choke, screaming that he is Takamichi. Victory! As Kiyomasa's gang prepares to attack, the cavalry arrives. Atsushi and his crew show up, coming in hot. Thanks to a call from Hinata, they get beaten up, but inspired by Takamichi, they keep getting back on their feet. Suddenly, the sound of an ambulance siren echoes and Takamichi smiles. They've won this battle. While the paramedics treat Takamichi and Ken, Toman finishes off Mobius. The only ones left are Manjiro versus Shuji Hanma. Hanma, impressed by Mikey's stamina, decides to leave, but not without dropping a spoiler: the creation of Valhalla, the most sinister gang alliance in Kanto, with him as its vice commander. In the ambulance, the mood is pure medical drama. Ken thanks Takamichi and then suddenly goes into cardiac arrest.
Thanks a lot, Takemichi.
At the hospital, the whole crew waits anxiously. Manjiro, full of faith, says Ken won't die because they promised to rule the world together. And wouldn't you know it, he was right. The surgery is a success and Ken survives. Everyone celebrates. Takamichi then realizes it's past midnight, it's August 4th. The date of Ken's death was August 3rd. He did it. The mission was a success. Later, he sees Manjiro crying alone, relieved, and decides not to interrupt the moment.
Scared me like that, you asshole.
A week later, Takamichi has become a legend. He's basking in the glory, but when he visits Ken, he gets an earful for acting like a fool. To make up for it, Ken gives him an epic gift: Manjiro's original uniform from when Toman was founded. It's a massive honor. On the rooftop, Manjiro is pensive, trying to understand how Takamichi knew everything before anyone else. He asks him point blank, "Who are you?" Before Takamichi can come up with an excuse, he decides it's time to go back. He gives Hina a 4-leaf clover necklace and shakes Naoto's hand. Back in the present, he's still working at the rental store, but something has changed. Atsushi is now a hairdresser's assistant and invites him to be his first client, fulfilling an old promise. Takamichi is over the moon. Suddenly, his phone rings. It's Naoto, telling him he succeeded and that they need to go see Hinata.
Wanna see my sister?
In Naoto's car, Takamichi can hardly believe it, but when he arrives at her apartment building, insecurity hits him hard. He feels like a failure, a nobody who doesn't deserve her, and decides to leave. But fate is full of surprises, and he bumps right into the adult Hina. Seeing her, he breaks down in tears, remembering everything he went through to get to this point.
Oh, Hina.
The reunion in her apartment is super awkward, with a silence so thick you could cut it with a knife. Naoto tries to break the ice and takes them for a drive, but he gets called into work and leaves the two alone. Hinata stops at a park and starts talking about a guy she used to like who broke up with her. Takamichi thinks she's moved on, but soon realizes she's talking about him. His memories don't match her story, leaving him completely confused. Determined to fix things, he goes to the bathroom to work up the courage to ask her out again. On his way back, he bumps into none other than Shuji Hanma, who makes a sinister comment. A bad feeling washes over Takamichi. He runs back to the car and sees a horrific scene. Another vehicle has slammed into Naoto's car where Hinata was. The driver of the other car is a gravely injured Akan. He repeats the same words from the other future, his fear of Kisaki and the plea for Takamichi to save everyone.
You're so scared of Kisaki.
Shortly after, his car explodes. Takamichi rushes to Hina, who is trapped and dying. In his final moments with her, he confesses that he has always loved her. She thanks him, and in a final act of love, pushes him out of the car just before it bursts into flames.
I love you.
You're so important to me. I don't want you to die here too.
Staring at the fire, watching his happy ending turn to ash, Takamichi swears he'll go back as many times as it takes. But now the mission has changed. He's not just going to save Hina, he's going to become the head of Toman to rewrite destiny once and for all.
Gonna become the leader of Toman.
At Hinata's funeral, Takamichi is there, replaying the crash scene and the last words he said to her in his mind. The pain is so immense, he can barely approach the altar. Beside him, Naoto is sobbing, completely shattered. To make matters worse, Hina's mother appears, gives Takamichi the necklace he had given her, and tells him how much her daughter loved him, causing our hero to completely break down. Back on the investigation, Naoto discovers that Atsushi, the one who drove the car, had a family in the original future. The conclusion is grim. him. They used his family to blackmail him into committing the crime. Takemichi realizes that saving Draken didn't change a thing and decides the only solution is a Joker-level crazy plan. He will return to the past, become the leader of Toman, and destroy the gang from the inside. Naoto laughs, thinking it's a joke, but Takemichi is dead serious. To try and understand what went wrong, they go to visit Draken, who didn't die, but his future is almost worse. He's on death row. Draken is happy to see Takemichi and tells him that the real person to blame for everything is a guy named Kisaki. Apparently, Kisaki's love for Mikey twisted into a sick hatred, and now he wants to destroy everything Mikey holds dear. Before leaving, Draken tells Takemichi to get out of Tokyo because Kisaki will try to kill him. Takemichi returns to the past, and in the blink of an eye, he's in a bathhouse. Out of nowhere, Mikey pops out of the water, all playful. Draken is there too, wearing a shampoo cap, which is hilarious considering his grim future. Takemichi thinks about how much better those days were, and that's when Mikey drops a bombshell. They're heading to a meeting to name the new 3rd Division captain.
Got a new 3rd Division captain to welcome.
The atmosphere is tense, and Takemichi even thinks the promotion might be for him. But then, from the middle of the crowd, a guy no one expected emerges, Kisaki. Takemichi recognizes the name instantly and smells trouble. To make matters worse, the Toman members realize Kisaki is a former member of Mobius, their rival gang, and the tension becomes thick. Despite this, Mikey makes it official. Kisaki is the new captain.
So Kisaki is now the new captain!
Knowing this guy is the root of all evil, Takemichi does the only thing a shonen protagonist would do. He runs up and clocks Kisaki right in the face in the middle of the ceremony. Amid the chaos, a guy named Baji appears, beats the crap out of Takemichi, announces he's quitting Toman, and declares he's joining the enemy gang, Valhalla. As if that weren't enough, Kisaki gets up and knocks Takemichi out with a single punch. What a day, huh? Takemichi wakes up with Mikey by his side. Mikey then makes an offer worthy of a mob movie. He wants Takemichi to bring Baji back from Valhalla. In return, Takemichi demands that he kick Kisaki out of Toman. Mikey agrees, but with a terrifying condition. If Takemichi fails, he will kill him himself. To seal the deal, Mikey announces that Takemichi is now an official member of Toman under Mitsuya's command in the 2nd Division. Later, alone, Takemichi finds a charm on the ground. Inside, there's an old photo of Toman's founding members, but there's a strange detail. In the photo, there aren't 5 but 6 people. The next day at school, Takemichi is racking his brain, trying to figure out how he's going to complete the suicide mission Mikey gave him. That's when Kazushi, the delinquent Google, steps in to give a lecture on the gang landscape. He explains that Toman, even with the addition of Kisaki's crew, has about 150 members. Meanwhile, Valhalla, the rival gang, was formed from the remnants of Mobius and other groups, totaling around 300 guys. In other words, Toman is at a complete disadvantage. Valhalla is so mysterious that its leader is unknown, earning it the nickname the Headless Angel. In the middle of the explanation, Kazutora himself, the guy from the photo, walks into the classroom looking for Takemichi. He's all smiles and friendly, but Takemichi realizes something is very wrong when Kazutora casually mentions breaking his own subordinate's legs. Despite all the neon warning signs, Takemichi agrees to go with him to Valhalla's hideout. After all, this is his chance to find Baji. The place is an abandoned arcade that looks more like a movie villain's lair. The atmosphere is incredibly heavy, very different from Toman. Inside, Takemichi finds Baji in the middle of a test of faith. He's brutally beating his own former vice captain from Toman to prove his loyalty to Valhalla. Hanma, Valhalla's acting commander, uses Takemichi as a witness to confirm that Baji has truly betrayed Toman. With the testimony, Baji is officially accepted into the gang. A shocked Takemichi asks Baji why a founding member would betray Toman. That's when Baji drops the bombshell. Kazutora is also a founding member. He begins to tell a story from the summer of 2003, when they were just kids, and a terrible accident happened that changed everything forever. The newly formed Tokyo Manji Gang, or Toman, is enjoying life on 2 wheels. The problem is that Mikey is on a moped that's more like a motorized bicycle, and the whole crew has to ride slow to wait for him. Ken and the rest of the guys complain, but Mikey acts as if his little bike is a CB250T Street Hawk, his dream motorcycle. Out of nowhere, an older gang shows up and makes fun of them. One of the guys decides to smash Mikey's moped, but Mikey gives him that psycho stare and warns that if he scratches the bike, he's dead. The bully chickens out and the gang leaves, promising to crush them next time. As they continue their ride, Mikey's moped stops. Guess what? It's out of gas. Draken gets pissed because they had told him they were going on a long ride. To decide who will fetch the fuel, Mikey suggests a game of rock, paper, scissors, and Baji ends up losing. While he heads to the gas station, the rest of the crew goes to the beach. Baji can't find a station, but he runs into the same gang from before. They decide to follow through on their promise and burn the moped, but not before beating Baji up. Even while getting pummeled, he throws himself over the bike to protect it, shouting that no one touches Mikey's bike. Suddenly, Mikey himself appears, kicks his own moped, and asks how they dare hurt what's important to him. The important thing, in this case, was Baji. Now, it's the two of them against the entire gang. In a flashback from August 13th, 2003, Kazutora calls Baji with a mission to steal a CB250T from a shop as a birthday present for Mikey. Baji is hesitant, saying Mikey wouldn't want a stolen gift, but Kazutora convinces him. That night, they break into the shop. Baji is still on the fence, but he goes along. Just as they're about to get away, the shop owner appears. It's Shinichiro, Mikey's older brother. Baji recognizes him, but before he can explain, Kazutora comes running and smashes Shinichiro over the head with a tool. In a state of shock, Kazutora starts freaking out, saying he did it for Mikey, so it's Mikey's fault, and now he has to kill Mikey. The police arrive and arrest them both. Just as they're being taken away, Mikey shows up, completely confused. All Baji can do is cry and apologize.
I'm so sorry.
After telling this tragic story, Baji is officially accepted into Valhalla and earns his gang jacket. Hanma, the acting boss, tells Takemichi to inform Mikey that the fight between Toman and Valhalla will take place on October 31st in a junkyard. Takemichi is devastated, thinking there's no way to bring Baji back. The next day, a badly beaten up guy asks to speak with him. It's Chifuyu, the vice captain of Toman's 1st Division, the same one Baji beat up. Chifuyu reveals the big plot twist. Baji didn't betray Toman. He infiltrated Valhalla to investigate and expose Kisaki. Together, Takemichi and Chifuyu find Mikey and Ken at Shinichiro's grave. Mikey says that deep down, he knows it was an accident, but his heart can't forgive Kazutora, let alone Baji for siding with him. Inspired by Chifuyu, Takemichi makes the boldest declaration of his life. He tells Mikey he will become the leader of Toman one day.
Make you acknowledge me as the boss someday. That's what I really want.
Later, Chifuyu and Takemichi form a partnership. Chifuyu will help him become leader if he helps him take down Kisaki. To start their investigation, they seek out Osanai, an old rival. Osanai tells them that Kisaki is an evil genius who used him as a pawn, planned Pachin's downfall, and even Draken's death, all to climb Toman's ranks. Now, Kisaki's new sword is Shuji Hanma. The conclusion is obvious. Kisaki is the true leader of Valhalla. With this info, Takemichi returns to the present and goes straight to Draken. He asks if Valhalla's leader was Kisaki, but Draken denies it, and then comes the bombshell. Valhalla's leader was Mikey. He explains that on Bloody Halloween, Toman lost to Valhalla, and the new Tokyo Manji Gang was created with Valhalla on top. Takemichi can't believe it. How could Toman lose with the invincible Mikey? Draken replies, they lost because of Mikey, and on that day, Mikey killed Kazutora. Draken explains the rest of the tragedy. Kisaki found a scapegoat to clear Mikey's name for Kazutora's murder. After that, Mikey fell into darkness, and Toman was absorbed by Valhalla, becoming a massive organization with Mikey as its commander, and Kisaki as the power behind the throne. But there was one missing detail. Mikey killed Kazutora because before that, Kazutora killed Baji right in front of him. Takemichi finally understands his new mission. He must go back and save Baji. If Baji doesn't die, Mikey won't kill Kazutora, and Kisaki's plan will fall apart. Takemichi returns to the past and finds himself with Hina. She gives him a gift, a clover locket, identical to the one he gave her. It's a sweet moment that gives him strength.
So now we match, right?
Thanks for this. I like it a lot.
Meanwhile, Draken tries to talk to Kazutora to call off the fight, but Kazutora's hatred for Mikey is too strong. He wants nothing to do with it. Takemichi and Chifuyu also try to talk to Baji, who tells them to back off and says he's going to crush Toman. At a Toman meeting, Mikey seems resigned to fight, but at the last second, he shows his vulnerable side. He says he can't fight a friend and asks for everyone's help to defeat Valhalla and bring Baji back. The crowd goes wild. October 31st, Bloody Halloween arrives. The junkyard is packed with delinquents delinquents from all over Tokyo, including big shots like the charismatic Haitani brothers and a brute named Lehman. An old-school gangster, Hansen, introduces himself as the referee for the fight. The representatives, Draken and Kazutora, are called up. Draken sets one condition: if Toman wins, they want Baji back. Kazutora flips out at this, knocks out the referee, and screams that they're not there to play games, but to kill everyone.
Came here to beat the shit out of you and leave you all dead!
The two gangs charge at each other, and the all-out brawl begins. Takamichi tries to keep an eye on Baji, but ends up in a fight with some random Valhalla guy. Meanwhile, Kazutora tries to attack Manjiro, but Ken steps in like a bodyguard, telling him he won't lay a hand on the boss. But then Shuji Hanma appears, shoves Ken aside, and decides that's his fight now. With the path clear, Kazutora is free to face Manjiro. Takamichi is in deep trouble, getting beaten badly, until Mitsuya shows up to save him, but instead of a thank you, he gets an earful for being distracted. This fires Takamichi up, but his courage is short-lived when he sees two behemoths coming his way. That's when Shifuyu appears, saying he'll watch his back and that everyone there is scared. What matters is how you deal with it. Remembering Hina's death, Takamichi is filled with determination and charges forward.
Bring it on, you assholes!
The fight rages on and Toman is outnumbered. The weaker members start to fall. Ken protects one of them, who apologizes for not being strong enough. Seeing this, Takamichi starts running and screaming, challenging Valhalla to a fight. His attitude inspires the others to get back on their feet. Now that he doesn't have to play babysitter anymore, Ken goes into attack mode and starts mowing everyone down, finishing with a punch that sends Shuji flying. Manjiro follows Kazutora to the top of a pile of cars. It's a trap. Kazutora has brought heavy-hitting backup, Chonbo and Chomei. They manage to hold Manjiro down, giving Kazutora the chance to hit him in the head with a metal pipe. Everyone is in shock, but Manjiro, though bleeding, gets up and asks, "Am I your enemy?"
Do you really think that I'm your enemy?
Kazutora remembers his abusive father and how he blamed Manjiro for him being sent to juvie. His logic is completely twisted. Killing an enemy makes you a hero. Furious, Manjiro asks if that's why he killed his brother. In a surreal move, he breaks free and lands a kick to Kazutora's head that probably reset the guy's brain. After knocking out 3 guys at once, Mikey finally passes out and collapses to his knees. Exhausted, the vultures from Valhalla see the perfect chance to take down Toman's leader. Takamichi looks around, but everyone is busy with their own fights. With no other choice, he decides he has to save Mikey himself. He runs towards his boss, taking hits from all sides, but he gets up and keeps going. Just as one of Valhalla's captains, a guy named Choji, is about to finish Mikey off, Kisaki appears out of nowhere and knocks him out. Takamichi gets a sense of deja vu, remembering he's seen Choji with Kisaki before. Kisaki announces that his division will protect Mikey, and the entire Toman crew cheers for the hero. In that moment, Takamichi figures out Kisaki's master plan. If Toman wins, he becomes a hero. If they lose, the gang gets absorbed by Valhalla. Either way, Kisaki comes out on top.
Draken, Kisaki is gonna...
Suddenly, Baji appears and wails on Kisaki with the pipe, declaring he's going to finish him right there. Kisaki's right-hand man takes Baji down, and Kisaki, already back on his feet, orders him to kill Baji. Shifuyu throws himself in front of Baji, begging him not to do it, as it would be a betrayal to Mikey. Baji punches Shifuyu and tells him to get out of the way. Desperate, Takamichi lunges at Baji, grabbing him with all his might. And then, the plot twist nobody saw coming. Kazutora appears from behind and stabs Baji in the back. Takamichi shoves Kazutora away, and Baji, unbelievably, says it's just a scratch. Relieved, Takamichi thinks he's saved his friend and now just needs to defeat Kisaki to become Toman's leader. Baji, however, punches both of them, tells Takamichi to look after Mikey, and charges alone against the 50 members of Kisaki's division.
Bring it on, you bastards!
He takes down Kisaki's second in command and points a pipe at the boss, but suddenly he starts coughing up blood and falls to his knees. The scratch was far more serious. Baji collapses. The wound from Kazutora was fatal. Kisaki, the master of discord, seizes the opportunity to poison Mikey's mind, claiming Kazutora is a psychopath. But Mikey reveals that it was Baji himself who stopped him from killing Kazutora before, because he understood his friend's pain. With that, Mikey declares the fight is over, and to prove it, knocks out Hanma with a single kick, making the rest of Valhalla scram.
This fight's already over.
Whoa, hold up. What do you mean the fight's over?
Now it's over.
The truce is short-lived. Mikey goes after Kazutora, determined to beat him to a pulp. Takamichi watches, realizing the tragic future hasn't changed at all. In a flashback, we see that Kazutora felt betrayed and stabbed Baji for it, but he immediately regretted it, accepting his own death. That's when Baji gets up one last time. He tells Kazutora not to worry, because he won't die by his hand, and then he stabs himself. In his final moments, Baji drops a bombshell on Takamichi. Kisaki is the real enemy. He explains that Kisaki used Pachin's imprisonment to infiltrate Toman. Baji tried to handle everything himself, but failed. By killing himself, he removes Mikey's reason to kill Kazutora. He entrusts Toman's future and Mikey to Takamichi, and, with his last breath, asks for a serving of yakisoba to share with Chifuyu, dying in his friend's arms. Chifuyu's cry of anguish echoes as Mikey, blinded by rage, resumes beating Kazutora. Takamichi, remembering his promise to Baji, steps in between them. He yells that Baji's sacrifice was to save them both. In the chaos, a charm Baji gave him falls to the ground. Mikey picks it up and recognizes it instantly. It's a charm from the day they founded Toman, a symbol of the original promise that united them all. We go back in time to June 19th, 2003. Mikey summons the whole crew to the shrine. He's riding on the back of Baji's bike, and when they stop at a red light, a childish argument starts. "My bike is the best in Tokyo." One by one, the others arrive and join the fray. The light turns green and Pachin speeds off, shouting that his bike is the best and it's a race to the shrine. The crew follows, but Mikey simply falls asleep on the back of the bike. To keep him from falling, Baji rides slower and arrives last, having to carry a Sleeping Beauty mode Mikey on his back. At the top, Mikey wakes up and cuts to the chase. He wants to know if the guys have heard of the Black Dragons. Mitsuya confirms they're a bunch of older brutes. Mikey then asks Kazutora why he didn't tell them he was beefing with those guys alone. Then Baji has a brilliant idea. They should start their own gang. Everyone's on board, and Baji starts dishing out roles like he's assembling the Avengers. Mikey as commander, Draken as vice commander, Mitsuya in the elite guard, Pachin as the standard bearer, and Baji with Kazutora on the front lines. Mikey suggests the name Tokyo Manji Gang, which everyone thinks is lame but accepts. Their goal? A gang where everyone would risk their lives for each other. To celebrate, they decide to buy a good luck charm, but the charm costs 500 yen and nobody has the cash. Pulling their coins, they manage to buy just one, which they give to Baji, since it was his idea.
You should hold on to it for us, Baji.
Count on me. That's a promise.
Back in the present, Mikey holds that same charm. Police sirens wail and Toman starts to clear out. Kazutora stays behind, taking the blame for Baji's death. He bows to Mikey and says he'll carry this burden for the rest of his life.
But it's a burden I'll have to carry the rest of my life.
Toman has won, but Kazutora is arrested. 2 weeks later, Chifuyu brings yakisoba to Baji's grave. He remembers when he first met him. Chifuyu was the tough guy at his new school until he heard about a student who was held back a year. He goes looking for a delinquent and finds Baji in full-on Clark Kent mode, with glasses and combed hair, studying so he won't make his mom cry again. Later, Chifuyu is surrounded by a gang. Out of nowhere, Baji shows up, thanks him for help with a lesson, and single-handedly demolishes the entire gang to protect his new friend. And Chifuyu, in awe, decides to follow the coolest guy he's ever met. In the end, Takamichi and Draken visit Kazutora in prison. Draken delivers Mikey's message. He's forgiven and is still part of Toman. After visiting Kazutora, Draken tells Takamichi that Mikey wants to have a serious talk with him at the next gang meeting. Takamichi freaks out, wondering if what he did was enough to stop Kisaki from taking over Toman. He follows Draken and, to his surprise, finds that the guy's HQ is in the middle of the city. But the real shock comes when he discovers Draken lives in a brothel. They've barely stepped out of the elevator when a woman scolds Draken for coming home early. While Draken is changing a light bulb, a girl named Remy mistakes Takamichi for a client and takes him to her room. She asks him to take a shower, and Takamichi starts fantasizing that Draken set this up for him to lose his virginity. But when he gets out of the shower, he comes face to face with Draken himself, who has no idea what's going on.
What the hell do you think you're doing?
Remy gets annoyed and storms off. Draken explains that he has no parents and was raised by everyone who works there. In his room, which is filled with photos of the gang, he thanks Takamichi for stopping Mikey from killing Kazutora. Leaving the place, Takamichi sees a sight that nearly gives him a heart attack. Emma, who Draken has a crush on, hugging Mikey and saying, "I love you." Takamichi panics, imagining the start of Toman's World War III. Hina and Naoto show up, and the three of them turn into detectives, tailing the suspicious couple. Hina, convinced Emma is playing playing Draken for a fool, confronts her. At that exact moment, Draken arrives. Takemichi closes his eyes, bracing for chaos, but Draken just laughs and drops a plot twist worthy of a soap opera. Emma is his and Mikey's younger half-sister, and it's her birthday. Hina had completely forgotten.
Is that true, Detective?
Have a happy birthday, Emma.
Well,
Later, Takemichi gets a call from Mitsuya. The next day, he meets him in the home economics room and discovers that Mitsuya is the president of the sewing club. He's there, like the Tom Ford of gangs, making a brand new Toman jacket just for Takemichi as a thank you. At the Toman meeting, Takemichi arrives, proud of his new jacket. Mikey shows up, but he's not alone. Hanma and Chifuyu are with him. Everyone wonders what Hanma is doing there. Mikey announces that Valhalla has lost and will now be absorbed by Toman, like when Disney buys Fox. The crowd goes wild at how massive the gang is becoming. Hanma then reveals that someone brokered the union between the two gangs and calls out Kisaki. Takemichi can already smell trouble, fearing that the future he tried to prevent is happening all over again. Mikey then mentions the loss of Baji and gives the floor to Chifuyu. He says he was going to leave Toman, but Mikey convinced him to stay. However, he doesn't feel he can be a captain on his own, so after much thought, he's made a decision. He will follow Takemichi, naming him the new captain of the 1st Division. Chifuyu believes this is what Baji would have wanted. Takemichi, remembering all his promises, accepts the position. He shakes Naoto's hand and hits the fast-forward button to the future. Suddenly, he's in a different world. Expensive clothes, a new haircut, and his old friends are now his subordinates. He's in a luxury apartment when Chifuyu appears and calls him a top executive of Toman. It seems he's finally made it. They head to a Toman leadership meeting, which now includes members of the old Black Dragons. The tension is thick between the old guard and the newcomers who only care about money. Then, Kisaki shows up. He calls Takemichi and Chifuyu for a private chat and drops a bombshell. He confesses he orchestrated the bloody Halloween to gain power and used Kazutora to kill Baji. He proposes a toast to Baji, but the drinks are spiked. Takemichi wakes up tied to a chair next to Chifuyu. Kisaki reveals that Chifuyu is the traitor who's been trying to expose him for years. Chifuyu takes the blame to protect Takemichi, but Kisaki doesn't buy it. He shoots Takemichi in the leg and points the gun at Chifuyu's head. In his final words, Chifuyu reveals that in this future, Mikey has disappeared, Draken has been executed, and Toman has become rotten. He passes the torch to Takemichi, leaving Baji's feelings and Toman's future in his hands. Then, Kisaki shoots. Takemichi sobs uncontrollably. With tears in his own eyes, Kisaki looks at him and says, "Goodbye, my hero," before pulling the trigger.
Farewell, hero.
Takemichi wakes up outside and sees Kazutora, who saved him, but instead of a hello, Kazutora beats the crap out of him. He explains that he saw some guys beating up a girl, claiming they were from Toman. Kazutora wonders when Toman became a gang that hits women, and says he only saved Takemichi because he really wanted to save Chifuyu. In a flashback, we see Chifuyu picking up Kazutora from prison. He explains that Toman has become rotten, and he needs help bringing the gang back to what it once was. Back in the present, Kazutora confronts Takemichi for letting Chifuyu fight alone. Takemichi realizes that in this timeline, he's become a scumbag. Toman grew, but not in the way Manjiro dreamed. Together, they decide they need to reclaim the Toman they loved.
So let's take back our Toman.
In the car, Kazutora explains that Toman changed because Manjiro changed. To make matters worse, he gets a call and announces that Pa-chin and Pei-yan have been murdered. Manjiro has started a purge of the old members. Kisaki is just following orders, and to stop this madness, they need to cut off the Black Dragon's money supply and Kisaki's violence. It was Chifuyu who discovered that Kisaki ordered Hina's murder, and because he had proof, he ended up getting killed. Kazutora takes Takemichi to an alley to meet a contact. From the shadows emerges Naoto, who, to Takemichi's surprise, arrests him for incitement to murder. At the police station, Naoto shows him a video recorded by Chifuyu. In it, the present-day Takemichi orders Atsushi to kill someone to get rid of Kisaki. In another video, Takemichi freaks out when he discovers the target was Hina. He despairs, realizing that this time, he was the one who got her killed.
I ordered Akun to kill someone in cold blood? Hina, I murdered her.
But Naoto encourages him, saying he's the only one who can save everyone, and that the key lies in his past relationship with Kisaki. Naoto extends his hand, and with a handshake, Takemichi travels through time once more. He wakes up at a bowling alley with Hina, and after getting a strike, a guy in the next lane does the same, saying they're in perfect sync. Takemichi looks at the guy and feels like he's seen him before. The man is Hakkai Shiba, the vice captain of Toman's 2nd Division, who introduces himself and jokes around with Takemichi. His sister Yuzuha wants to leave, but Hakkai insists on playing more. Takemichi finally remembers. In the future, Hakkai is the leader of the Black Dragons. How is he in Toman now? This makes no sense at all. Takemichi's memory flashes back to his conversation with Kazutora in the future, where he was told that Hakkai killed the former Black Dragon leader for money and seized power. Back at the bowling alley, Hinata compliments Hakkai's height, making Takemichi feel a silly pang of jealousy. The two start a fierce competition, moving from bowling to the punching machine and even the arcade, but Hakkai is simply better at everything. It's one beatdown after another. In the end, Hakkai decides they're bros and invites him to his house. Yuzuha proclaims herself their big sis and teases Takemichi, saying he looks weak for a captain. She reveals a secret. Hakkai is super shy and completely freezes up when a girl talks to him. Takemichi asks about his relationship with his captain, Mitsuya, and Hakkai gushes, saying Mitsuya is like an older brother to him. Yuzuha even shows that Hakkai's phone wallpaper is a picture of Mitsuya. This leaves Takemichi even more confused. The Hakkai of the present is a nice, loyal guy, completely different from the murderer he's supposed to become. When they arrive at Hakkai's house, the vibe completely changes. The Black Dragon gang is at the door. One of them, Kokonoi, recognizes Takemichi as a Toman captain and is furious that he's in their territory. They prepare to attack, but Hakkai intervenes, saying Takemichi is his friend. It does no good, and when one of the members threatens the girls, Hakkai knocks him out with a single punch. Suddenly, the big boss appears, Taiju Shiba, Hakkai and Yuzuha's older brother. Without even asking who he is, Taiju hits Takemichi with a clothesline, knocking him to the ground. Upon learning he's from Toman, Taiju beats him up and orders Hakkai to finish the job and kill Takemichi.
I'm ordering you. Kill him now.
But he refuses. Yuzuha tries to intervene and gets slapped by her brother. Takemichi, despite being all banged up, gets to his feet and tells Taiju not to hit women, especially his own sister. Taiju ignores him and continues the beating. Hina throws herself in front to shield Takemichi, who, like a good hero, protects her with his own body. Seeing this, Hakkai gives in. He offers to leave Toman and join the Black Dragons in exchange for Takemichi's life. Taiju smiles, accepts the deal, and leaves. Later, Takemichi wakes up being carried by Hakkai and apologizes for making him leave Toman. Hakkai says he had already made up his mind and thanks him for defending his sister. At home, Takemichi realizes he must stop Hakkai from killing Taiju in the future. His friends show up and Shifuyu explains Toman's history. The gang was founded specifically to fight the Black Dragons. The current generation, led by Taiju, is the most brutal yet and has turned the gang into an almost military-like force. Alone with Shifuyu, Takemichi can't take it anymore and tells him everything: the time leaping, the mission to save Hina, everyone's dark future. To his surprise, Shifuyu believes him. He says he always thought Takemichi was weird and that the pieces are now falling into place. Like when Takemichi asked Baji not to die before the fight against Valhalla, Takemichi finally has a partner who knows the whole truth, and the emotion is so overwhelming he starts to cry.
Thank you for believing in me, Shifuyu!
Shifuyu, now in the loop, is ready for war. At the Toman leaders meeting, the atmosphere is tense. Ken says the attack on Takemichi is a declaration of war from the Black Dragons. The other captains are suspicious of Hakkai for taking Takemichi into enemy territory. Hakkai kneels and asks Manjiro for permission to leave Toman. When Manjiro asks if anyone objects, Takemichi speaks up. He tries Shifuyu's Plan A, offering Manjiro a dorayaki, but the leader throws the snack away. Plan B is a bunch of nonsensical notes. Seeing the situation is a disaster, Mikey leaves the decision to Mitsuya, Hakkai's captain. Mitsuya looks at Hakkai and, to everyone's surprise, says,
You're not quitting Toman because I won't allow it.
In a flashback, we see how Hakkai met Mitsuya. A younger Hakkai was beating up another kid until Mitsuya, who was taking care of his younger siblings, showed up and taught him a lesson. Strength should be used to protect others, not to beat people up. Back in the present, Mitsuya wants to have a word with Taiju, but Hakkai thinks it's a waste of time. Takemichi and Shifuyu then join the crew. Takemichi goes because he got beaten up, and Shifuyu goes to keep an eye on Takemichi, whom he calls an idiot. At the meeting, Mitsuya proposes a deal worthy of a mob movie. He'll let Hakkai join the Black Dragons and never interfere again, but in exchange, Taiju has to free Yuzuha. Mitsuya figured out that Hakkai is enduring his brother's abuse to protect his sister. Taiju gets pissed and tries to throw a punch, but Mitsuya blocks it. In the end, the giant accepts the truce. Takemichi thinks he saved the future, but Shifuyu, the resident resident skeptic, throws cold water on the idea, saying nothing has changed and that Takemichi himself did nothing. Later, Hakai opens up to Takemichi. He says he grew up thinking love was synonymous with pain. Thanks to his older brother, Taiju's promise to Mitsuya is worthless, and he's still going to kill his brother to protect his family.
I'm going to kill him.
To avoid tainting Toman's name, he decides to leave the gang. With that, Takemichi makes a decision. He's going to crush the Black Dragons. Meanwhile, the Toman captains refuse to fight to avoid breaking the agreement. That's when Kisaki, the angel-faced villain, shows up wanting to help. Chifuyu nearly lunges at his throat, but Kisaki has an ace up his sleeve, an informant within the Black Dragons. They meet with the guy, but Kokonoi, the Black Dragon's treasurer, shows up. For 100,000 yen, he sells them information. Taiju always goes to church alone on Christmas Eve. Kisaki's plan is simple. The four of them will prevent the murder and take down Taiju in a secret battle. Kisaki lays it out. In his opinion, Mikey is shaken by Baji's death, and Toman is hanging by a thread. That's why he needs Takemichi and Chifuyu's help for this secret mission. Chifuyu is reluctant to work with the guy who killed Baji and Hina, but Takemichi convinces him with the old, keep your enemies close tactic. The temporary alliance is formed. The next day, Takemichi runs into Hina and Naoto. He realizes he scheduled a Christmas date with her right in the middle of this whole mess with Taiju. Hina then drops a bombshell. She knew Kisaki as a child. They went to cram school together, and according to her, he was a good kid, albeit a weird one. And there's more. Kisaki was with her the day she and Takemichi first met. In a flashback, we see Hina trying to save a cat from some bullies. Suddenly, Takemichi appears, wearing a makeshift hero cape, shouting that he won't let anyone lay a finger on a little girl. He gets beaten up badly, of course, but his courage, even while terrified, made Hina fall in love with him.
Middle schoolers gang up on an innocent girl!
Back in the present, Takemichi is over the moon to learn she's loved him for so long, but the happiness is short-lived. Hina's father, a police officer named Masato, shows up and asks Takemichi out for coffee. After thanking him for inspiring Naoto, he makes a devastating request: break up with Hina. He doesn't want his daughter involved with a delinquent.
Please break up with my daughter.
That's not fair, come on!
You're a gang member.
On Christmas Eve, Takemichi, with a heavy heart, does as he's asked. He lies, saying he's in love with someone else. Hina, heartbroken, starts punching him. Now, with nothing left to lose, he joins Chifuyu, Kisaki, and Hanma for the mission at the church. The plan is simple. Takemichi stops Hakai, while the other three take care of Taiju. On Christmas night, Hakai prepares for the final confrontation. Meanwhile, Chifuyu recalls how Baji taught him to fight for the gang, not for himself. In a symbolic moment, he hands Baji's sash to Takemichi, as if passing the torch.
The sash of Keisuke Baji, and now I entrust it to you!
The team gathers and heads for the church. Inside, Takemichi finds Hakai, just as Kisaki predicted. He tries to convince his friend not to commit murder, using his own painful breakup with Hina as an example. Protecting someone you love can't mean destroying someone else's life or your own. Right at that moment, Taiju enters the church. Wait, where's Kisaki's team to stop him? Hakai wastes no time and lunges with a knife. That's when the betrayal is revealed. We see Hanma holding Chifuyu, while Kisaki watches with a smirk on his face. He admits he tricked everyone from the start just because he thought it would be fun. Taiju disarms Hakai with absurd ease and humiliates him. Takemichi screams, and Taiju, annoyed by the interference, lands a punch on him with 50% of his strength. Just as Taiju is about to reveal Hakai's big secret, the plot twist happens. Yuzuha appears from behind and stabs him. She reveals it was Kisaki who told her about the plan.
Kisaki told me all about your plan.
Takemichi puts it all together. In the original timeline, it was Yuzuha who killed Taiju, not Hakai. History was repeating itself. However, Taiju survives. Takemichi's reaction to seeing Yuzuha alerted him, and he managed to move in time, making the wound superficial. The hero unintentionally saved the villain, avoiding the dark future Kisaki wanted. Furious at being betrayed by his siblings, Taiju beats Yuzuha and then cries, asking God why he must endure the trial of killing his own sister. That's when Takemichi, our crybaby hero, steps in front, playing the human shield and screaming that Taiju is destroying his own family. He turns to Hakai like, "What now, man? Are you just going to stand there there and watch? But Taiju isn't interested in talking and lands a massive punch on Takamichi, saying they tried to kill him first. Takamichi has a moment of clarity, an anime-style epiphany, and figures out Kisaki's plan. Yuzuha would kill Taiju, Hakai would take the blame, and Kisaki would manipulate Hakai to control the Black Dragon. With this new intel, Takamichi decides he'll take on Taiju himself to save everyone. But out of nowhere, Mitsuya appears and catches the knife from Yuzuha's hand in midair, saying that's no tool for protecting anyone. He tells Yuzuha to stay out of it and challenges Taiju, breaking their peace pact. The rule is clear: you don't hit your little sister. The fight begins, but Mitsuya's punches feel like tickles to Taiju. To make matters worse, Chifuyu shows up and explains that Mitsuya came alone. Takamichi's hope of seeing Mikey arrive vanishes faster than a Wi-Fi signal in a tunnel. To complete the horror show, Taiju's henchmen, Inui and Kokonoi, appear and land a cheap shot on Mitsuya with a metal pipe. Things are looking bad. Plan B is for Takamichi and Chifuyu to hold off the henchmen while Mitsuya and Hakai handle Taiju, but Hakai freezes in fear. In the middle of the chaos, Hakai grabs the knife again, but Takamichi stops him, saying he'll become trash if he does that. So, Takamichi himself, despite being beaten to a pulp, charges at Taiju, taking more hits than a punching bag but refusing to go down. He declares he will win and take over the Black Dragon.
I'm gonna defeat you and take over Black Dragon!
He gets hit, gets up, gets hit again, in an endless cycle of stubbornness. Hakai, desperate, begs him to stop, but Takamichi delivers a motivational speech. Fighting doesn't hurt. What truly hurts is loneliness. And then, the impossible happens. Takamichi lands a punch that, combined with one from Taiju, brings the giant to his knees. Everyone is in shock. This moment of courage inspires Hakai, who drops the bomb. He lied the whole time. The one who took the beatings to protect the family was Yuzuha. He was just a coward hiding behind his sister. Instead of judging him, Takamichi and Mitsuya embrace him, saying everyone is weak, and that's what friends are for. With a renewed heart, Hakai takes off his Black Dragon uniform and faces Taiju, declaring that now he will truly protect everyone. The fight is brief. Taiju, enraged, knocks Hakai down with a single punch and reveals his trump card. 100 members of the Black Dragon have surrounded the church. Game over? Not a chance. As the heroes brace for an impossible fight, we get a flashback showing Yuzuha's painful past, her mother's death, the beginning of Taiju's beatings, and how she decided to take the hits in Hakai's place. Back in the present, the brawl resumes, but everyone is at their limit. Takamichi even passes out. When all seems lost, a familiar sound cuts through the night, the roar of a motorcycle. And not just any bike, it's Mikey's. He walks into the church, wishes everyone a Merry Christmas, and asks what's going on. The cavalry has arrived, but Mitsuya is tense. After all, they were the ones who broke the peace agreement.
Merry Christmas. This is a holiday, after all.
Mitsuya immediately takes the blame for breaking the truce, but Mikey is on a different wavelength. He says his brother and Baji guided him there. Before anyone can figure out what he means, Taiju, in a treacherous move, lands a clean punch on Mikey, knocking him down. Total silence. Everyone is in shock. The invincible Mikey is down, but the surprise is short-lived. Mikey gets up as if nothing happened and says that prayer time is over. A quick flashback shows how Taiju recruited Inui and Kokonoi, proving his raw strength. Back in the present, Taiju boasts about his punch, but Mikey doesn't even care. In an instant, he leaps and bam! A single nuclear kick that knocks Taiju out cold. Game over. Mikey explains that he isn't weak or alone. He carries the memories of his brother and friends in his heart, and that's what makes him strong. Takamichi understands Mikey won't be corrupted. Taiju, ever stubborn, gets back up and orders his 100 soldiers to be called in. There's just one small problem. Kokonoi looks outside with the face of someone who's seen a ghost and reports they've lost. Outside, Draken is sitting calmly on the church steps, having single-handedly defeated the entire Black Dragon army. Taiju finally collapses, defeated in every sense of the word. Takamichi, the true hero of the night according to Mitsuya, faints from exhaustion. In the end, Hakai and Yuzuha confront Taiju one last time. Yuzuha, in a vulnerable moment, admits that despite hating him, she also loves him. To top it all off, Mikey gives Takamichi a ride on his bike and drops him off at Hina's door, where she was waiting for him. Takamichi runs right into Hina and is speechless, like when you bump into your ex at a party and don't know what to do. Mikey, who set the whole thing up, plays dumb. Takamichi feels like trash for breaking breaking up with her without an explanation. But how did this happen? Flashback. Hina went to confront her father. She defends Takemichi with everything she's got, saying she fell in love with his character, not his looks. She says he might not seem reliable, but he's kind and has a good heart. Basically, a delinquent with a heart of gold. Later, she goes to pray at a shrine and bumps into Emma, who was also there. Emma, being the best friend anyone could ask for, listens to the story and decides to play Cupid. She calls Draken and Mikey and tells them to find Takemichi and bring him to Hina. Back in the present, Takemichi can't handle the pressure, breaks down in tears, and apologizes. He explains he only broke up with her to protect her from danger. He promises to save her and protect her, no matter the cost. Hina, ever so sweet, just asks him to take her to the shrine on New Year's. And just like that, they're back together. Watching the scene, Draken drops a gem. Takemichi is weak with women and in fights, but he's dependable when it counts, just like him. Later, Mikey takes Takemichi for a ride on his bike and opens his heart. He talks about his older brother, who was a gang leader who was kind of weak in a fight but inspired everyone. Mikey admits he sometimes feels lost without him, and in those moments, his mind goes blank, and he no longer knows what's right or wrong. He then makes a serious request to Takemichi. If he ever sees Mikey losing his way, he needs to scold him, just like Shinichiro would have. Takemichi, crying again, accepts the mission.
You can count on it!
On New Year's, the crew meets at the shrine. Yuzuha confesses she actually has a crush on Takemichi, not Mitsuya like everyone thought. Everyone's teasing Takemichi, trying to see what he wrote on his ime, a wooden wishing plaque. As the year turns, Mikey tosses the plaque into the air, and everyone reads it. Become a hero who can save everyone. Far away, Kisaki and Hanma watch, making it clear that the game isn't over yet. Toman holds its first meeting of the year. It's like a homeowners association meeting, but with gang jackets. Draken gives a rundown of the conflict with the Black Dragon, and Hakai gets on stage to apologize for the lie that started it all. The Toman members, super chill about it, forgive him on the spot, and even confirm he'll remain the 2nd Division's vice captain. Then comes the first surprise. Inui and Kokonoi from the Black Dragon announce that their gang is now part of Toman. The condition? They would only join if they were placed under Takemichi's command. Our hero is like, excuse me? But Mikey explains he was just honoring their request. Chifuyu already smells a setup, but the real bombshell drops now. Mikey takes the mic and announces, Kisaki, you are expelled. The silence is deafening.
You're out.
Hanma tries to object, saying if Kisaki leaves, he's taking the 350 members of Mobius and Valhalla with him, leaving Toman with only 100 guys. But Mikey couldn't care less. He airs all the dirty laundry, revealing that Kisaki instigated the conflict with the Black Dragon and even gave Yuzuha a knife to kill Taiju. Kisaki tries to defend himself, claiming he did it all for Toman's sake, but Mikey cuts him off. Game over for Kisaki, who falls to his knees, defeated. With the mission seemingly accomplished, the vibe changes. Mikey and Draken gift Takemichi a brand new motorcycle, a CB250T, the Babu, which is the twin of Mikey's bike and once belonged to Shinichiro. It's a super emotional moment of brotherhood.
Ta-da!
After a few riding lessons from Mikey, Takemichi says goodbye to Chifuyu and the rest of the gang, ready to return to the future. He snaps one last photo with Toman's founding members, a picture for the history books. He shakes Naoto's hand and bam, back to 2018. He's not in prison, which is a good sign, but the joy is short-lived. He realizes he's at a funeral. He hears the names Mana and Luna, and his heart sinks. He runs inside, and reality hits him hard. He's at Mitsuya's funeral. Takemichi returns to the darkest present yet. He finds out that Mitsuya was strangled, and to make it worse, Hinata is dead too. He's back in his old rundown apartment when Naoto shows up. Naoto lays it all out. This is the worst possible timeline. It wasn't just Hina who died. All the core members of Toman have been murdered. Chifuyu, Hakai, Mitsuya, Draken. The list is long. Even Kisaki is dead. And the main suspect in all this carnage is the plot twist no one saw coming. Manjiro Sano, Mikey himself.
Manjiro Sano.
Takemichi is in shock. He did everything right. He got Kisaki out of the picture. He resolved the beef with the Black Dragon. What went wrong? In the midst of the confusion, they find a letter from the Philippines. It's from Mikey, setting up a meeting. Without a second thought, Takemichi and Naoto get on a plane. There, in an abandoned place that looks like a horror movie set, Takemichi reunites with Mikey. He looks the same, but his eyes are empty. Mikey confesses to everything. He killed everyone. He explains that after Takemichi left Toman, he couldn't couldn't hold back the darkness anymore. Killing became an easy solution for everything. In a painful flashback, we see Draken and Mitsuya asking Mikey to let Takemichi go, to protect him from the path of violence Toman was about to take. Completely broken, Mikey hands Takemichi a gun and asks him to end his suffering. He wants Takemichi to kill him. Takemichi refuses, saying he just wanted to see him again. Mikey then points the gun at Takemichi but hesitates, remembering Chifuyu's last words, which were to trust Takemichi. In that moment of doubt, a shot rings out. It was Naoto, shooting to save Takemichi. Lying on the ground, Mikey thanks Naoto, as he knew Takemichi wouldn't be able to pull the trigger. Naoto realizes too late that the safety on Mikey's gun was on. He was never going to shoot. In his final moments, Mikey says his life has been nothing but suffering. Takemichi, desperate, screams that he can go back in time and will fix everything. With a last breath, Mikey says Takemichi's hand is warm and dies in his arms.
Your hand is so warm.
In 2006, on a rainy day, Chifuyu visits Takemichi's house, only to find him punching a tire, like some Rocky Balboa-style training. Chifuyu makes fun of him, but Takemichi is focused. He needs to get stronger to change the future. That's when it clicks for Chifuyu. This is the Takemichi from the future. Takemichi then drops the bomb. In the new future, Mikey just killed everyone. He explains that in the future, he abandoned Toman, but now he wants to get strong so he won't let the gang down. Chifuyu notices Takemichi's knuckles are raw. He tries to stop his friend, who keeps punching the tire, desperate. Chifuyu tackles him to the ground, and Takemichi breaks down, saying he has no idea how to save everyone, and that he can still feel Mikey dying in his arms. Chifuyu laments the dark future, but is happy to see his partner again. He says he already knows what to do: beat the crap out of Mikey. He and Takemichi are the only ones willing to face the boss head on. With his partner's support, Takemichi feels better. He had convinced himself he couldn't do anything, but he remembers that Mikey, above all else, is a friend. The decision is made. He won't return to the future until he becomes Toman's leader. To unwind, the two go to a public bathhouse. Takemichi, inspired by delinquent manga, has the brilliant idea of earning everyone's respect by defeating the gangs of Yokohama. Meanwhile, Kisaki and Hanma visit the head of Tenjiku, Izana. Kisaki wants revenge. This is the beginning of the biggest and final conflict in Toman's history. A week later, Takemichi and his friends are caught off guard by a massive attack from Tenjiku and Shibuya. Chifuyu tells Takemichi to run and tries to hold them off, but he's knocked out with a single punch by Kanji, one of Tenjiku's top dogs. Takemichi and his friends are surrounded, and who shows up in the middle of the mess? Kisaki, wearing a Tenjiku uniform, who calls Takemichi a hero and announces that the Kanto incident has begun.
Hero. And now let the Kanto incident begin.
His plan is to create his own Toman and force Mikey to accept him. With that said, he and Hanma bolt. Kanji drags away an unconscious Chifuyu and orders his men to finish off the rest. Just when all seems lost, the motorcycles of the Meguro twin devils appear. The brothers burst onto the scene, plowing through everyone and saving the day. Takemichi finds out they're twin brothers. The captain and vice captain of the 4th Division, Nahoya, known as Smiley, always wears a cheerful expression, but he has the heart of a demon. Suya, angry, looks mad but is an angel. The twins waste no time and invite Takemichi and Chifuyu to invade Yokohama. On the way, the twins mention they've lost to Kanji in the past. Takemichi then comes up with a wild theory. What if Kisaki is also a time leaper? That would explain why the future keeps going wrong. Meanwhile, Tenjiku is wreaking havoc. The Haitani brothers take out Mitsuya with a brick to the head, and other Toman members are attacked all over the city. Takemichi's group arrives at Tenjiku's hideout and comes face to face with over 100 guys. Kakucho, one of the top executives, introduces himself and says he wants to fight Takemichi one-on-one. Takemichi charges, and to everyone's surprise, lands a punch that sends Kakucho flying. He's confused. Did he actually get stronger? Looking at the guy on the ground, he recognizes him. It's his childhood friend. Kakucho smiles, explaining he took the hit on purpose and that Takemichi was his hero when they were kids. But now, his hero is Izana, the leader of Tenjiku, which makes them enemies. Before leaving, he leaves a sinister warning. Watch out for the traitor. Toman calls an emergency meeting. They discover that Tenjiku's leaders are all from the S62 generation, a group of legends who would normally never team up. Mikey doesn't care and declares all all-out war on Yokohama. Chifuyu, once again the brains of the operation, convinces Takemichi to return to the future to get intel from Naoto. Back in his own time, Takemichi finds an even worse future. Kisaki is dead, but Izana Kurokawa has become one of Toman's top executives. Unsure what to do, Takemichi goes to a church and runs into none other than Taiju Shiba. Taiju, wanting to avenge Hakai's death in this future, agrees to exchange information. He tells the full story. The Black Dragon was founded by Mikey's brother. Izana was the 8th leader, years before Toman existed. The Kanto incident ended with the merger of Toman and Tenjiku, creating the cruelest gang in history, with Mikey at the top, Kisaki as second in command, and Izana as third. Naoto arrives and drops the final bomb. Kisaki's death was faked by Izana, who helped him flee the country. With Mikey dead, Izana is the current head of Toman. Suddenly, Kokonoi and Inui appear to kidnap Taiju on Izana's orders. Taiju tells Takemichi and Naoto to run while he holds them off. During the escape, Takemichi and Naoto are ambushed. Kisaki emerges and points a gun. Naoto throws himself in front of Takemichi and takes the bullet. Izana appears and orders Kakucho to kill Takemichi, who is also shot. Lying up on the ground, Naoto says that even though Takemichi is a loser, he's a true hero because he never gives up. Proud, he asks to shake his hand one last time. Takemichi promises he'll save everyone and leaps back in time.
I won't ever give up. I'll keep trying.
In the past, he tries to shake young Naoto's hand to return to the future, but nothing happens. It hits him. The Naoto from the present is really dead. Takemichi is devastated, apologizes to the kid, and sends him home. But Hina was there the whole time. Takemichi, thinking he's talking to Naoto, vents everything, that he's tired of failing, that he can't save anyone, and that maybe it would be better if he just died. Hina hears everything and says,
I love you.
She asks his real age and if he proposed to her in the future. Takemichi says no, but that he always wanted to. She then asks if this is a proposal, and with his confirmation, she says she can now die happy. This reignites a fire in our hero, who decides not to give up. The next morning, Takemichi is already putting the pieces together. He figures out that Izana was one of the reasons Mikey fell into darkness, but he's sure Kisaki is involved too. The question is, why does Mikey trust Izana more than Draken? Later at Mikey's house, one bombshell revelation follows another. First, Draken reveals that Shinichiro, Mikey's brother, was the founder of the Black Dragon. Then, Emma enters the room and drops the big one. Izana is her brother, which means he's also Mikey's half-brother. Shocking the grand total of 0 people, no one knew this. To make things worse, they find letters Izana sent to Shinichiro. At first, it's all rosy. He's grateful to have a family. But the tone soon changes, and Izana starts blaming Mikey for his troubles, full of jealousy because the Black Dragon was supposed to go to Mikey. Takemichi and Draken connect the dots. Izana has always wanted to crush Mikey, and now that Shinichiro is gone, he created Tenjiku to finish the job. To cap it all off, Takemichi is kidnapped by Mucho, one of Toman's captains, who accuses him of being a traitor and knocks him out. Takemichi wakes up in a dark place, along with Kokonoi and Inui, who are also tied up. Takemichi's kidnapping gets a soap opera-worthy plot twist. Yasuhiro, the traitorous captain, explains that he's like Toman's internal affairs, the only one who can punish members. But the truth is, he's not on the clock. He reveals that he's part of the S62 generation, a group of delinquents who met in juvie, and that he's one of Tenjiku's founding members, loyal to Izana. Nobody saw that coming. Izana's plan is to create the most powerful gang ever, using Kokonoi's money, Kisaki's brains, and Mikey's charisma. The problem is, Kokonoi only listens to Inui, who, in turn, is on Takemichi's side. Yasuhiro's solution is simple and direct. Kill Takemichi and Inui to force Kokonoi to join Tenjiku. Even tied up, Takemichi isn't intimidated and confronts the traitor, saying he won't hand over one of his men. This attitude reminds Inui of Shinichiro. The two of them, still tied up, try to fight back, but obviously get their asses kicked. To save their skins, Kokonoi agrees to join Tenjiku. After being thrown in the trash, Takemichi and Inui pull themselves together. Takemichi, who used to be suspicious of them, now sees them as friends and promises to rescue Kokonoi. Inui, touched by his loyalty, takes him to Shinichiro's old motorcycle shop. There, he tells him how Izana corrupted the Black Dragon and asks Takemichi to become the gang's 11th leader to save Kokonoi and restore the Black Dragon's honor. Takemichi, who understands the feeling of wanting to save someone at all costs, accepts the offer. He is now captain of Toman's 1st Division and the new leader of the Black Dragon. The goal is one and one only.
As the
the captain of Toman's 1st Division, I'll become the 11th leader of Black Dragon.
In a flashback, we see Emma's childhood. Abandoned by her mother, she is taken in by the Sano family. So she wouldn't feel bad about her foreign-sounding name, Manjiro adopts the nickname Mikey, a small gesture that shows the huge bond between the siblings. She concludes that from that day on, she never felt alone again. Back in the present, Toman is in shambles. Mikey finally agrees to let Takamichi lead the Black Dragon, and they discover that Tenjiku will attack on February 22nd, the anniversary of the gang's founding. To make matters worse, Hakai arrives with news that Mitsuya and Smiley have been ambushed and are in the hospital. The mood is one of defeat, but Mikey, as always, steps up, gives an inspiring speech, and guarantees that his presence alone is enough for victory. The next day, at Shinichiro's grave, the tension is at its peak. Takamichi, Inupi, Mikey, and Emma come face to face with Izana. A family reunion nobody wanted. Mikey tells Takamichi to get Emma out of there. As they walk away, she confesses that Mikey, despite seeming strong, is fragile and needs support. Takamichi realizes that Emma is Mikey's emotional pillar, and that's when tragedy strikes. Out of nowhere, Kisaki appears on the back of a motorcycle with Hanma and smashes Emma in the head with a baseball bat. It's brutal, fast, and cowardly. Mikey picks up his sister, hoists her onto his back, and heads toward the hospital. On the way, she regains consciousness just long enough to ask him to tell Draken she loves him and for Takamichi to take care of Mikey. In a panic, Mikey tries to keep her awake, but it's too late. He feels her body grow cold. As Mikey narrates a beautiful dream of a future that will never happen, Takamichi confirms the worst. Emma is gone. The darkness Takamichi had feared so much has finally found its way into Mikey's heart. Izana and Kisaki have a chat, and we discover that Kisaki's plan is worthy of a Marvel villain. He confesses that he arranged for Draken to be stabbed and manipulated Kazutora into killing Baji. The goal: to isolate Mikey, destroy everything he loves, and turn him into a kind of ultimate vessel for his power. Kisaki says that watching Mikey lose his loved ones gives him a sublime feeling. Yeah, the guy's sick. Izana, for his part, is just along for the ride. He only cared about Shinichiro, and now that he's gone, Izana has latched onto Kisaki's evil to fill his own emptiness. Basically, they let each other use and abuse their dark vibes. The scene cuts to the hospital and the mood is heavy. Draken sees Emma's body and goes into shock. Mikey is frozen, like he's hit the blue screen of death. Draken, blinded by rage and grief, goes after Mikey, blaming him for not protecting anyone. Takamichi tries to intervene, but that's when it finally hits him. Mikey became evil in the future because he couldn't bear so much loss. It's too much pain for one person to handle. Later, Takamichi tries to cheer Hina up with a little finger puppet show, but the timing couldn't be worse. He admits he's useless, but swears he will fight and protect her, no matter the cost. At the Musashi Shrine, Toman is lost without its leaders. Takamichi shows up and says they meet to fight Tenjiku that night. The guys turn their backs on him, thinking it's suicide. But then, one by one, his friends stand up. Chifuyu, Akun, and the Mizo Mid crew all agree to go with him. Even Smiley and Mitsuya, having escaped from the hospital in wheelchairs, show up to offer support. The entirety of Toman unites, and with their morale restored, Takamichi believes he can save everyone.
This isn't over. We're not done yet.
In Yokohama, Izana Kurokawa gathers Tenjiku and basically laughs in Toman's face, saying they're nothing anymore. Tenjiku's leaders, the four heavenly kings, confirm that Toman's divisions are in tatters and that Mikey and Draken are out of commission. Izana's plan is clear: to rule Japan's underworld and make Mikey suffer until he can't take it anymore. When Toman finally arrives, they are outnumbered, like the final battle in Avengers, but in reverse. Akaki Madarame proposes a one-on-one to kick things off. Pei-yan, without even blinking, accepts the challenge and knocks the guy out with a single punch. Toman's very own one-punch man. With this lightning-fast victory, Takamichi, acting as temporary leader, gives the signal and the all-out brawl begins. Toman fights with everything they've got, even at a disadvantage. Takamichi's goal is to get to Kisaki, who is just watching from his high perch. But on the way, he's stopped by Kakucho. The guy reveals he knows about Emma's death and lets it slip that he actually wants to stop Izana, leaving a giant question mark hanging over everyone's head. Meanwhile, in another corner of the fight, Inui tries to convince Kokonoi to leave Tenjiku, but Kokonoi isn't interested, reaffirming his loyalty to the gang and, most importantly, to money. The fight between Inui and Kokonoi Kokonoi seriously heats up in the middle of the chaos. Kokonoi refuses any help and attacks Inui mercilessly. A flashback reveals the reason for everything. Kokonoi was in love with Inui's older sister. After a fire left her in critical condition, he became desperate to raise 40 million yen for her treatment. To do so, he dove headfirst into a life of crime, forming a gang and doing all sorts of dirty work. In the end, Akine died anyway, and Kokonoi became obsessed with money, which led him straight to Tenjiku. Back in the present, he declares that Inui is now his enemy.
I've chosen to go all in with Tenjiku now. We're enemies.
Meanwhile, Takamichi continues his quest to reach Kisaki, but Kakucho is a wall in his path. From above, Izana and Hanma start talking about the S62 generation, also known as the Vicious Generation. They list the members' crimes as if they're reading off the rap sheets of a supervillain gang, including Mochi, Mucho, and the feared Haitani brothers. Speaking of them, Ron and Rindle Haitani are putting on a masterclass in teamwork against Hatai and Angry. The brothers' synergy is so perfect that they easily dominate the fight, but Hakai and Angry don't give up. Right there, in the heat of the moment, they form the Younger Brothers Alliance, joining forces to turn the tables and show that they can fight together too. Smiley has a flashback to his childhood, remembering a tense moment when he made his brother, Angry, promise never to cry again. Cut to the present, and the situation is grim. Haitani has just broken Angry's arm and leg, leaving him completely vulnerable. Seeing his friend about to be finished off, Angry can't take it. He breaks his years-long promise, and the tears start to flow. But instead of sadness, the tears activate a full-on demon mode. The guy turns into the Blue Ogre himself. In a matter of seconds, he neutralizes Rindo and Ron Haitani with terrifying precision, then immediately takes down Mucho and Mochi.
You're too slow. Tell me.
Everyone from both Toman and Tenjiku is left with their jaws on the floor, clueless as to where all that power came from. Mucho, though defeated, tries a cheap shot and pulls a knife on Takamichi, but then Kakucho appears out of nowhere and stops the attack. He reveals himself to be one of Tenjiku's 4 heavenly kings and challenges Takemichi. Kakucho remembers they were childhood friends but makes it clear that his loyalty now lies with Izana. The fight is brutal. Kakucho moves with superhuman speed, but Takemichi, even though he's completely beaten up, refuses to go down. The fight only stops when Kisaki, the master manipulator, steps onto the scene. Kisaki points a gun at Takamichi's head, asking if he has the guts to die to win. Instead of being intimidated, Takamichi presses his forehead against the barrel of the gun, leaving Kisaki completely baffled. He thinks of everyone who sacrificed themselves for him, like Baji and Chifuyu, and it gives him the courage of a lion. Kisaki can't bring himself to shoot to kill and ends up shooting Takamichi in the foot. Even injured, our hero gives an epic speech, saying he may not have charisma, strength, or intelligence, but he has one thing: he never gives up. This stubbornness inspires all of Toman to get back on their feet. Seeing the enemy's morale return, Kisaki tries a dirty move and proposes a merger of the gangs, but Takamichi responds with a punch to the face. Then Izana joins the fray and humiliates Takamichi, who finally understands that Tenjiku is the cause of all the evil that happened to Mikey in the future. When all seems lost, the cavalry arrives.
What's up, boss?
Mikey and Draken appear, ready for combat. We find out that it was Hina who pulled them out of their despair by telling them the truth about Takamichi being a time leaper. Mikey, back in top form, faces what's left of Tenjiku and drops the line of the year, saying he could take on 20,000 guys. Izana wastes no time and lands a kick on Mikey, taunting him about Emma's death. Mikey's response shocks everyone.
Let's settle this, brother.
And finally, the fight everyone has been waiting for begins. Mikey versus Izana, the final showdown between the brothers. Mikey attacks with his devastating kick, but Izana blocks it as if it were nothing, displaying a bizarre level of strength and instinct. Then, a flashback explains the origin of all this beef. We discover that Shinichiro, Mikey's older brother, also treated Izana like a brother, and even promised him the leadership of the Black Dragon. The problem was that Izana felt betrayed when he learned that Mikey was also seen as the heir, and that resentment turned into a deadly hatred. Back in the present, Mikey is visibly shaken by Emma's death, and Izana dominates the fight with precise and brutal attacks. Kakucho explains that Izana's strength comes from his loneliness, from a childhood trauma that left him completely broken on the inside. Mikey notices the suffering in his opponent's eyes and tries to connect, saying they are brothers and don't need to fight. But this only infuriates Izana further. He pulls out a gun to shoot Mikey, but in a shocking twist, Kakucho throws himself in the way and disarms him. But our beloved Kisaki grabs the gun and shoots Kakucho. With his right-hand man down, Tenjiku is officially defeated. Kisaki tries to make a run for it but runs right into Draken and Takemichi, who are in no mood for games. Meanwhile, a battered Izana has a moment of sincerity with Mikey. He drops the bombshell. He found out he doesn't share the same blood as Shinichiro or Emma, and that his own mother abandoned him. It's basically the origin story of a villain who just wanted a family. Before fading out completely, he asks if Mikey can save him, but it's too late. Izana dies there in the snow, with Kakucho, his childhood buddy, by his side. With their leader's death, Mikey makes the final call and declares that the conflict between Toman and Tenjiku is over. The Tenjiku executives retreat, but Mikey gives a clear order: get Kisaki. A motorcycle chase worthy of an action movie begins, with Takamichi and Draken on the heels of Kisaki and Hanma. After a crash, Takamichi, despite his mangled foot, throws himself in front of Hanma and tells Draken to go after the real target. It's the hero's sacrifice. He holds off the brute so his friend can finally catch the mastermind behind all the misery. The final fight between Takamichi and Kisaki takes place in the exact spot where Hina is destined to die in the future. Kisaki is pissed, screaming that Takamichi ruined his perfect plans, and then he delivers the classic villain monologue, listing his genius strategies to take over everything. First, get Draken out of the picture to manipulate Mikey. Second, use Valhalla to break Toman. And third, bring in Tenjiku to annihilate what was left. He admits that only one thing he hadn't foreseen could go wrong. When Takamichi asks why he's so obsessed with killing Hina, it finally dawns on Kisaki. He realizes Takamichi is a time leaper. In flashbacks, we see the psycho's origin story, a prodigy who fell in love with Hina, but snapped with jealousy when she chose Takamichi. His plan spanned 10 years to become the top delinquent in Japan, using Mikey as his puppet just so he could marry Hina in the end. And he makes it clear he'd rather kill the girl than see her with someone else. Takamichi lunges at him, but Hina and Mikey arrive in the nick of time. Kisaki flees, and Takamichi chases after him, thinking that killing the guy is the only way to save Hina. In the middle of the chase, out of nowhere, a truck runs Kisaki over, the famous truck-kun doing its job. Before he dies, he confesses to Mikey that he always wanted to be like him. The battle ends with 3 dead and 5 arrested. Days later, Takamichi talks with Kakucho and says that even with Kisaki dead, he still feels a chill, as if the real fight isn't over yet.